working? Oh, internet's working. Why won't it let me stream? Oh, it won't let me. Never mind, it's streaming, it just isn't saving. Oh boy. Let me change that. Hello. Hold on. I'm probably a little bit quiet. Let me adjust this by a little bit. Do, do, do. Let's see. Maybe I'm more audible now. I think. Did it save that? Yes, it did. What I want. Let's do that. Settings. It won't let me do that while I'm streaming. Okay. Nah, it's fine. Oh, I'm good? Okay, great. Cool. Wonderful. So I've got this big, gross rat monster. Um, if I'm too loud now, I can just change it back. It'll only take a sec. Boop. There. All right, so big rat guy. Yeah. Um, some of these spots kind of up at the top here need another base coat just because there's spots that are hard to get with the spray can. Um, maybe a touch loud. It might just seem that way because I have no other audio coming through. Um, like there's no frame of reference. I'm not even hitting yellow. I guess I could put on some background music actually. I think I've got something sitting here somewhere. Maybe. No, I removed all of that to make room for Starfield a while back. Oops. That's fine. That's something for me to fix for next time. For now, I really want to get some paint onto this guy. All right. Ow. Since I have to start with some base coats, I've got some Pro Acryl Ivory. It's a pretty good color match for Games Workshop's Wraithbone, which is what this is primed in, so that I can get some really loud colors out of contrast paints. I'm going to shake that away from my microphone side. So let's get some of that onto our wet palette here. We only need a little bit. I forgot to bring a tissue. That's... I've got one. All right. I like Pro Acryl a lot because they're pretty much pre-thinned. You just need to shake them out and throw them on your wet palette. And just make sure that you wet your brush a little bit. You don't need to like explicitly add water to make it thin enough for a thin coat. Which is really convenient when you're lazy, like me. So, I'm going to watch my camera try to focus. I'm gonna get some paint onto this guy's upper body. So I got a pretty good idea of what I want to do with like the really gross parts of this model, and not a whole lot of ideas on what I want to do with like the regular rat fur and stuff. I blame that on having painted more gross things for Nurgle than I have actual rats. If my camera angle is bad, let me know and I will adjust it. I'll adjust my hams so that you can see a little better. This is probably the most boring part of painting this guy because it's really just making sure that these uh, spots around here where I'm painting now are good and bright so they take to the contrast paint that I want to use real well. Angle? Hmm. Okay, yeah. As long as it's looking pretty good, I'm happy. But if I'm looking down at the model, I probably am not looking up at the camera angle itself. So it's just good to know at a quick glance that everything's visible. Looks like right now, I can pick this guy up a little bit. I'm getting kind of this fleshy area behind his arm. It's a little hard to see. Let me grab my light and kind of bring it in. No, that's making it worse. It's very reflective. Okay. Good to know. That light is useless to me for directional. That's fine. Either way, there's like a lot of spots on models under their arms and things where just you definitely have to go back in with a brush and make sure things are smooth, um, especially if you're looking to use a speed paint or contrast paint option, since they like to go on over a smooth base coat, usually a light one. So this guy in particular is really gross, and I think I can use a lot of the techniques that I used on my Death Guard to get some like really gross looking flesh on to some of these more body horror-y parts. I just don't know what I want to do with the fur. Because like it's not just um like scraggly rat fur. There's like a layer of gross kind of cleared out rat flesh underneath it. So it's definitely going to maintain a color. I'm not sure like if it's going to be some shade of brown, maybe a gray, possibly something in like a dark black. I don't know, like dark gray, dark blue, black like, if you will. Um, probably won't be a light gray just because of the way Skaven lore works. Uh, White and light gray furred rats are usually higher ranking and or highly attuned to the warp and therefore act as gray seers instead of getting turned into some sort of monstrosity by a master molder. It's really apparent how much the base coat on this side kind of sucked compared to like over here. But I suppose that part of that is just that the paint's more fresh. Especially with whites, it'll look like super bright until you let it dry. Which is honestly one of the tricks about highlighting is when you first start off painting miniatures, you'll be like, man, is this like way too much of a lighter color? While it's still like you know, wet and fresh on the model. And then, you know, you'll look at it a couple hours later once it dries, and you're like, oh, that's not as bright as I thought at all. And eventually you just kind of get used to that. Um, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's different from like a most basic approach to digital art, right? Because like at the most basic approach, you would be picking colors and using those from like maybe a palette that you've created off to the side or something. Um, but like as you obviously get into higher level digital art, you'll start doing things closer to the physical medium of like coloring with transparencies and like um, values. Like it's really interesting how anything that's colored well can be turned black and white, and you don't lose anything really in terms of like readable detail, right? I mean, it's not like a must-have thing for anything because all art's subjective, yeah, but like um, a clear and readable color palette will often do that. Oh boy. I'm gonna need to break out some black for the metallics soon. I'm pulling it way too close to me. I'm sorry. So I mentioned it in the video description, but my setup for this is surprisingly janky. Um, Basically, this setup is like 180 degrees behind where my computer normally is. So I had to like unplug my desktop, rotate it 90 degrees around the front. So basically moving the back like 3 feet over. And that allowed me to like reach the table. This, of course, being not the most comfortable table to sit at, but it is the easiest one to get enough space on for a hand cam, so here I am. Like I said, if I want to do more of these, which I probably will, I'll come up with a more permanent solution that's a bit more comfortable for longer term streams. Um, Maybe that doesn't involve as much hardware moving, but we'll see. I think in a minute I'm gonna move on to some other colors to let this white dry so that I can maybe get some contrast onto it tonight. Just not sure what color I want to do next. Probably black to base coat the metallics. While I could go over them in white, metallics usually look best with a black base coat, so I'll just do it that way. It'll save me effort from having to like do extra coats of the metallic, I guess. Alright, you know what? Let's get some black out into this. Jeez. Went way too long without cleaning my brush. Oops. Such is life. I need a black. Where did I put those? Alright, let's move the knife out of my way. This one will work. Shaka, shaka. Okay. Cat hair. That's exactly what I need. So this is just some GW Abaddon Black. This will need thinning. And I have to pull it out of the pot like a Neanderthal with this one brush that I currently have clean. I could break out a new brush, but eh. Well, I moved out of frame. Alright, let's thin down this Abaddon Black with some water. Yeah, let's start up here, I guess. Okay, visible, more or less. I know everything's white, so it's not the easiest to, like, differentiate the different parts of this thing. Which is another reason why I wanted to get some, color on here. I just want to get some black in there. Onto anything that looks metal. So this big embedded machine is gonna get this black paint. I guess I could have always done like one of the black contrasts for this, but I don't know. I don't like doing the metallics over a black contrast. Black Templars is kind of glossy. The other one is basically just thinned down Abaddon Black anyway, so as far as black speed paint or contrast paints go, none of them are super useful to me in this particular instance. And yeah, I know his name is stupid. It's also been pronounced multiple different ways across like different GW eras and streams. It's usually pronounced dramatically like that. And I know that that's not the normal way to approach the name Abaddon or whatever, but after watching so many GW tutorials where they're like base coated in Abaddon black, I'm like, yeah, all right, sure. Oh, Neanderthals? What about Neanderthals? When did I bring up Neanderthals? uh, Look, I haven't taken a history class in like, God, forever. Mm. Yeah, there's some weird triggers for emotions that I'm trying to fix in both VNyan and Vroid Studio. So please bear with my face when it decides to freak out. I should be able to get them worked out soon as I'm able to catch on to more things that trigger them that I'm not expecting or testing for. Because trying to figure out all of the use cases for your own face is not actually that easy. All right, so we've got this big dumb metal thing oh, based up for the first coat. We can move on to some of this stuff on its back, of which there is a lot actually. trying to get the like I don't know if I can get the camera on it, but there's some white back here that I'm trying to get rid of. Like back here. I don't, I'm looking at my camera feed and it's just not working. The base is in the way. That's the problem. Hold on. How? Okay. So like kind of straight down there. Obviously there's a bunch of completely unpainted plastic if we look at it from straight up like the bottom, but most of that is easily fixable. It doesn't need like a particularly good coat since most of it's either touching the base or isn't particularly visible to begin with. So the fact that the spray on it is in general missing or bad is not a big issue. Let's just paint this whole cable black for now. I think the outside of the cable is going to be a different color, but I don't want to try to like only paint in the like bits where the covering is missing. Doesn't seem like a particularly good use of my time when I could just paint the whole thing black and paint the parts that don't need to be black something else after. I'm gonna need more paint in a minute, which is kind of annoying, but also not terribly surprising. All right, clean off my brush and get some more black paint. This particular black base coat doesn't actually need to be like super super smooth and like consistent. It just needs to be dark so that the like metallic flakes in the metallic paint reflect better, basically. It's sort of hard to explain without getting into the science of refracting light and whatever, but as long as it's nice and dark, it should look good. Of course, I still need to decide which parts are getting what metallics. I mean, some of them are easy, like the chains and the blades will get like a dark silver, but matter of like what bronzes and brasses and what have you, the rest of it gets. You know, I thought I fixed the model eating its own eyes issue. I guess it wasn't a Vroid issue after all. I'll look into it after this. Because now I'm curious. If both of the programs are trying to do something that's just stacking, I don't know. What is with this one spot that just does not want to not be brown? There. So this part, kind of in the middle of this pipe, is actually a warp stone crystal. So that doesn't need to get hit with black per se. It does have metallic like framing, so I'm not super worried about getting some black on it, but again, it's another thing that I'm just like, I don't need to put paint on you, so I probably won't until I get to the green, because there is a fair bit of places where warpstone and the associated glow from warpstone are important elements of the model. Like these grates here will get a nice green glow coming out of them. These over here will get it. The stone right there will get it. This is going to be warp smoke, so it'll be green on the inside. Stuff like that. Speaking of which, let's do this arm cannon. Nose noises? Oh, I see. Okay. That was literally just me breathing. I'll slide my mic this way a little bit. Huh? A weird mouth thing. Really? You want me to make weird mouth noises? I got weird mouth noises for days. I'm over here trying to be kind of normal for like a little while. Okay, fine. You will get all of my weird noises then, and you will like it. Uh, you know, Abaddon Black isn't really my favorite black paint, but it's also not my least favorite black paint. Um, it's a little on the warm side, and like thin coats can read as like a brown for sure. Uh, but like it's not the worst. Its coverage is a little weird, but I feel like I have that problem with a lot of warm blacks, where they just for some reason just cover less good. If I had to take an educated guess, I would say it's got something to do with the use of red pigment in the base brown that they use to make the black. Um, just being a thinner pigment. But I don't know. That's just like a, you know, a guess or whatever. Where's your charger? It died all plugged in? Oh. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Um, what was I talking about? I was talking about Abaddon Black. If I'm using a black from G-Dub, then I'm probably gonna want to use Corvus Black, which is a nice dark, slightly cool gray. I might end up using that somewhere on this model because I don't know what color I want all of the cloths to be. That's actually one of the bigger sticking points for my Skaven army as a whole, is that I just kind of don't know what I want to do with like all the clothes and all the fur, and like I kind of want it to be cohesive, but I don't want it to be like rank and file lines of the same looking rats, I guess. Um, and then there's the Clan Molder stuff, like this guy, where I'm like, I think I'm gonna give him more traditional Clan Molder stuff because lore-wise, um, my Skaven army isn't going to do a whole lot of the body modification themselves. They'll kind of, you know, rent that out from Clan Molder, who is basically the best in the biz at it. Uh, so like this brood horror terror thing and like the master molder that I'll eventually add to my army, they're gonna have like the more regular clan molder colors. I don't have to worry about their cloth as much. Uh, I'm kind of leaning towards like dark sea colors. A lot of like a lot of painters in the specifically European community would think of the palette as like petrels. So like dark blue greens, dark blue grays, dark green grays, that kind of stuff. Kind of grimy, kind of dirty, kind of vaguely reminiscent of the sea, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what I decide. I'll probably end up painting a bunch of that backlog in streams too, since I've already started on this guy here. And I might as well get him done once I can. Um, I'll probably figure out a slightly less janky camera angle for being able to actually see what I'm doing too. I know that this model in particular is kind of tricky because it's like not even based yet, and I've got these bright lights shining off of this white model. Um, which does make it sort of difficult to see kind of what the details that I'm trying to pick out actually are. But I think um, once I'm done with the metallics and get some flesh tones onto here, it's gonna be looking pretty gross pretty quickly. And also, you know, more readable in terms of like what is happening. I need more black again. What else is new? The coverage on this is terrible. Thankfully, the coverage isn't really what I need. I just need it to be dark. Darker the better, so some of these really light areas I'll probably go back into. Especially this. What is... See, this is why they're like 2 thin coats minimum. Because like, let's see if we can really get in on this. Sort of, kind of in here, you could see where it's kind of brush strokey, and that's because it's like really thinned down by the time I got there. And as I run out of paint, all of the paint that I put on is more thinned down. So this is actually part of why I don't like using Citadel paints from GW as much as I used to, is just after getting used to the Pro Acryl and being able to basically just pour it from the dropper onto my wet palette and immediately have functional paint without having to like carefully thin it out and get it looking not too thick, and it's just a hassle. Like, if I can skip steps, I'd like to skip steps. Particularly in the case of common base coat colors, like this pot of Abaddon Black. Let's get as much of this onto the palette as we can, using my poor brush head as a shovel. Try not to spill all of my paint everywhere. Alright. Alright, yes. Good. Back to it. More black. Got more black paint, so we can continue with this crap. Yes. Oh, and the fresh goes on so much nicer. It's like night and day. I mean, sometimes with some of these, it's almost like solving a puzzle, right? Like, you're looking at these parts and you're like, I don't, how can I get my brush in to there? And a lot of times when I'm doing that kind of stuff, it's not the most visible on camera, because it's like, I'm trying to get in, let's see, in here, which isn't showing particularly well. There is a white patch kind of in back here that I'm trying to get rid of. And of course, you know, like painting that part, it's just like a crapshoot. Like, I'm not going to be able to get that visibly on camera easily. Hell, I can not see it with my eyeballs particularly well easily. And it's not like ooh, I got bad eyesight or anything. It's just in a shadow hidden behind another part in a way that makes it really hard to see and get a brush into. But like, that's part of the fun of it, right? It's like kind of figuring out the best way to reach these different parts, and like, then as you paint more things, being like, okay, well, I can, you know, I can spray paint this in this many parts and save myself the headache of trying to figure out how to get to these parts. And I kind of wish I had done that with these pipes. but since it's so big, it's really not that bad. If this was a tiny little guy, one of the little rats, it would be a total nightmare. Real headache. Fortunately for me, this guy in particular, if I run into any issues, is a push fit model, and I never glue those together until I'm done painting them. That's how I did my what are they called? Not a plague burst crawler, that's the tank. A myphitic blight hauler for Death Guard, the little trike tanks, demon guys. Painted one of those a while back and just sprayed it and then pulled it apart for the actual like paint job, and that worked out really good. So if I run into any real big problems with this guy, that's probably what I'm gonna do, just pull him apart. Oh my gosh, some of the spots that I went over are like, they don't even look like I hit them with black paint. They look like I hit them with like Nuln Oil or like another black based shade paint or something. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, might have actually been an easier way to do all of this. But hindsight's 2020. There's still a bunch of the bottom of the back of this. No, I'm not gonna pull them apart right now. Specifically, I don't want to pull the back off because the back is directly connected to the arm, which is, it's just kind of, for a push fit model, it went together a bit more like a puzzle than I would have expected. A lot of the push fit models are fairly straightforward. This guy had a couple of annoying little tricks to worry about in the last couple of steps. Man, I need to get like a fan over here or something. One of those long-term solutions, I suppose. It's not that it's particularly warm in my apartment necessarily, but like, I'm currently sitting 2 feet-ish away from the back of my PC and it's blowing hot air into a corner of my apartment. And that, that does indeed make it warm. Just like localized. Might not end up being much of a problem though as it gets colder outside. We'll see. Great, I got the hiccups. Hate it. I do have a bunch of like Warhammer 40k stuff to paint too, so I'm probably going to end up doing some of that maybe later this week too. Um, One of my IRL friends is like, I got the itch for 40k again, and I'm like, We were just talking about AOS like a month ago. Bro, why you like this? I'll finish my Eldar, whatever. We'll play. I will play your games, fool. What else do I really need to get paint onto, like, right now? Oh my god, dude, I can't reach the back of this tank. Starting to seriously consider getting, like, the weird angled brushes for some of this crap. Oh, right, yeah, okay. No, this one connects, so this guy connects directly to this, which was actually more of a pain to fit together than this connecting to that. Alright, I guess I'm gonna get this next. All over here. So let's clean off this brush. Rotate the rat so that you can see where I'm trying to paint here. Grab some water, mix it in. Now that all that's good, let's get some of this on there. Oh, that's going on so well. So smooth. I do think I'm gonna pick up a black from Pro Acryl though. I thought I had one for a while. Because like a while back I was trying to solve my problem of not liking Abaddon Black as like an actual black, and Corvus Black technically being a gray. I was like, I kind of want a real black, but I didn't find one that I liked. Because I tried a few different black miniature paints. There's one that I tried that uses like a gel medium. Oh, what is the name of that paint brand? I can see it in my mind's eye, but the paint's not sitting over here right now, so. Anyways, that was kind of neat, but I didn't like the way that it, like, dried. That gel medium is weird to work with. It takes to water kind of strangely. Um, so I ended up moving on. I tried a couple from, like, Vallejo and stuff, some of, like, the real obvious competitors. For a while, I was just using speed paint, and I might literally go back to using one of the black contrasts for some of this at the least. But I don't have a dry palette on hand that's clean enough for me to actually use such a liquid paint with. It just collect all of the dust in the dry palette and get gross. I don't want to do that. That's not fun. I can't really put the contrast onto a wet palette either, since it's more liquid than your average paint. It will just bleed through. And I mean, I guess you can if you just don't, you change your sponge regularly, don't care too much about the quality of your sponge's health or whatever. You could totally just use a wet palette. It's not like against the law. You're not going to go to jail. It's not going to ruin your paint job necessarily either. It's just going to work a little differently, I suppose. And I mean, it's not how I'm used to using it, so I don't really want to try a bunch of new things and then watch it fail spectacularly on a big model I'm excited about. That's the kind of shit you test on like a clan rat or something. One of your foot troops, little guy. Free model of the month or what have you. Man, This is... not going on smooth now. I tell you what. Though, honestly, that's probably just because I'm not washing my brush enough. Like a big dumb idiot. Let's grab some water. Did I actually grab any water? I can't. I'm looking into my own shadow. Okay. There we go. Painting chains is maybe the worst. They have so much godforsaken surface area in every direction. And it just, like, never... I don't have a good angle on this.